Why are you the only man who wants to stay with me?
I don't know.
Why is Mom so different around other people?
You want to tell me why you didn't come home last night?
You killed him.
Hi, Studio Recapped here. Today, we're going to talk about a movie called Deep Water in the mystery and romance genres. Spoiler alert is on. Watch out and take care. You won't believe how much your support means. Thank you so much for your support. The movie is about a couple named Vic and Melinda who have an unconventional marriage. Although Vic loves his wife, he doesn't express his emotions and Melinda feels neglected. She decides to have relationships with other men and Vic agrees to this. It seemed like this solution worked for both of them until mysterious events start to unfold. Vic and Melinda have a daughter named Trixie. One night, the couple plans to attend a party. Melinda is busy choosing a dress and asks her husband for his opinion. Vic, complimenting her, helps her with her shoes but doesn't react to Melinda's affectionate gestures. They leave from party in good spirits. Upon arrival, Vic respectfully helps her take off her coat. Then Melinda goes to get a drink. We see the couple gathering with friends and the conversation shifts to child rearing. However, Melinda gets bored and as soon as she spots one of her friends, a man named Joel, she heads toward him. On the other hand, Vic notices them heading to a corner. Joel and Melinda kiss and get intimate. Melinda, realizing that her husband is watching them from the window, deliberately continues and gets even closer to Joel. One of Vic's friends comes over and starts talking about Melinda's unethical behavior. He believes that Vic and Melinda truly love each other. Melinda, having drunk too much, starts dancing on the piano. When Vic joins the crowd, she plays the piano with joy and dances for him and the other guests. Later, Vic meets Joel. He thanks Vic for his hospitality and says thanks for letting him be with his wife. Vic talks seriously about a man named Marty. Marty had been Melinda's friend, but suddenly disappeared and nobody had heard from him for a long time. Vic admits that he killed Marty. Joel, scared by a confession, perceives it as a threat. He hurriedly tries to leave the party, and Melinda can't stop him. After the party, Melinda asks her husband what happened between him and Joel, but Vic remains silent. Melinda had seen them talk. On the way home, Vic doesn't say anything. When they arrive home, Melinda goes to the kitchen and starts taking off her clothes in front of the babysitter. Vic stops her, and after the babysitter leaves, he helps her undress and lie down. We see that Melinda asks him to leave the room and close the door. The next day, Vic takes Trixie to school. He then meets with his friends. They jokingly and repeatedly say that Vic is Marty's killer. They also talk about Melinda's strange behavior and believe that Vic's actions make Melinda more sensitive. Vic ignores their accusations. After Vic returns home, Melinda, angry at her husband for bothering Joel, argues with him and says that Joel is coming over for dinner and Vic should apologize to him for his behavior. Joel arrives at their house. Vic has made crab soup for dinner, but Joel says he's allergic to seafood. Vic serves him grilled cheese instead. Joel mentions that he's leaving town, and Melinda happily tells him it's a good decision and promises to visit him. Melinda makes every effort to be nice and close with Joel, trying to provoke Vic. Vic reminds her of how their first date went. Their conversation slowly turns into an argument. It seems that the couple no longer understands each other and has no common ground. Melinda feels that her husband doesn't respect her. Melinda asks her husband to read a story to Trixie. When Vic reads a story for their daughter, he comes out of the room and realizes that his wife is having a good and romantic time with Joel. He angrily breaks something in the kitchen. Melinda returns to the kitchen, gives her husband a glass of alcohol, and asks him to take it to their guest. We see that after serving Joel the drink, Vic forces him to leave and confidently says he didn't lie about killing Melinda's friend. In the next party, the couple meets a writer named Dan Wilson and his wife. Vic talks about the chip he invented. Dan and his family criticize him because the military chip business he created could have led to people's deaths, and it was unethical. But Vic's friends oppose Dan and say what matters is that Vic is a genius and very rich. On the other hand, Vic sees Melinda and their daughter dancing together. Dan's wife, who is named Kelly, praises Melinda. Suddenly, Vic asks Kelly to dance, intending to provoke Melinda. This surprises Vic's friends because he had never done something like this before. On the way home, Melinda asks her husband about dancing with Kelly. It seems that Melinda was really jealous of Kelly, so she decides to have some special moments with her husband in the car. She asks Vic if he thinks Kelly is better than her. Later, we see the couple having a romantic night at home enjoying each other. A few days later, the couple goes to watch Trixie's football game. At this moment, Vic receives a call from the bank informing him that his wife had written a check for $3,000 to someone named Charlie DeLisle for piano lessons, and he needs to cover the deficit. Vic decides to find out who this new man Melinda has met is, and he succeeds. Vic goes to a bar where Charlie plays piano. Meanwhile, he sees his wife walking toward Charlie and flirting with him. Vic gets frustrated and, before they notice his presence, quickly leaves for home. Through the news, Vic learns that Marty's body has been found. Melinda arrives home in a distressed state. Vic asks her where she's been. She answers that she recently met a new friend. He helps her undress and tells her about the death of her lost lover, which makes Melinda very upset. The next day, Vic and Trixie adopt a dog from an animal shelter. Trixie names the dog Roger. On the way home, Vic sees Charlie walking down the street with a bouquet of flowers. When they get home, the same bouquet is on their table. Vic angrily throws the flowers away. The next day, Vic sees one of his friends at the bar where Charlie had been playing piano. He tells his friend that Charlie is teaching his wife piano, but his friend's insinuation makes Vic think Vic, for fun, breeds snails and takes care of them. Meanwhile, Melinda is in the car, getting intimate with Charlie. We see very special and intimate moments between the two. Vic waits eagerly, but Melinda doesn't come home. The next morning, when she returns, Vic starts questioning her about where she's been. The argument between the couple escalates. Vic asks her not to see Charlie anymore. Melinda thinks of her husband as emotionally distant. Melinda deliberately provokes Vic and talks about her relationships with other men. Vic gets angry and frustrated but doesn't act. This was contrary to what his wife wanted. Melinda wanted his attention. At Vic's party, we see Melinda, like a child, happy and carefree, playing with others. Her husband seemed very boring to her. Melinda introduces Charlie to everyone, asks him to play piano for them, and then starts dancing. She gets close to her husband, but Vic, embarrassed in front of everyone, pulls away. Later, Vic searches for his wife. One of his friends tells him that Melinda is upstairs. He goes up and finds Melinda laughing while wearing a swimsuit. Melinda comes out of the room, and behind her, we see Charlie. They head toward the pool. Vic follows them, seeing his wife in an intimate relationship with her new friend. They share very romantic moments in the pool, and Vic becomes even more frustrated by seeing this. Suddenly, heavy rain starts pouring, and everyone heads inside, except for Vic and Charlie. Vic enters the pool. Dan, from the balcony, sees Vic and Charlie in the pool. After some time, Vic returns inside. Melinda, not seeing Charlie among the guests, becomes worried and heads to the balcony. When she sees the pianist's body floating in the pool, she screams in fear and alerts everyone. A few people pull Charlie from the pool and try to revive him before the ambulance arrives, but it's too late. Melinda becomes frantic and hysterical when she sees this. After a while, the police arrive and begin questioning the people at the party. During the detective's conversation, Melinda says that her husband was the one who killed Charlie. Her friends are shocked by this, and then the detective takes Melinda for a private conversation. Afterward, Vic is interrogated, but nothing is discovered. On the way home, the couple doesn't speak to each other. Melinda, feeling angry and upset, slaps Vic. After returning home, Vic asks, "Now that you think I killed Charlie, aren't you afraid of me?" Melinda replies, "I'm not afraid because you killed him for me." The next day, Vic goes for a bike ride. He keeps thinking about how he drowned Charlie in the water and replays the moments of Charlie with his wife. At this point, we're sure that he is indeed the killer. Vic realizes that someone is following him. When he reaches his daughter's school, he sees Kelly. She tells him that Dan believes he is Charlie's killer and has discussed his theory with Melinda. Vic invites Kelly and Dan over for dinner. That evening, the guests arrive. Melinda seems very happy. Vic takes Dan aside under the pretense of showing him his snails and tells him not to tell anyone, especially his wife, that he is the killer. He threatens Dan. The next day, Vic spots an unmanned car with a powerful camera on the passenger seat. He suspects someone is spying on him. Vic heads to a nearby cafe and sees his wife sing with a stranger. He joins them and starts arguing with the man. It seems Melinda didn't expect to see her husband there. The man claims to be a psychologist. After learning the man's name, Vic goes after Dan. Vic then accuses Dan of hiring someone to spy on his life. Dan denies it, but Vic has evidence proving Dan's involvement. The money Melinda transferred to Dan's account. Vic secretly follows his wife, who is now having fun with her new friend. When Vic returns home, his daughter Trixie asks him how he killed Charlie. Vic denies it, but Trixie insists she believes he did and is just hiding it. Melinda's phone rings. She starts talking to a friend. When Melinda takes a shower, Vic tries to talk to her, but she doesn't want to. Vic meets his wife's new friend, Tony, at their home. Tony is amazed by the snails. They head to the kitchen and chat. Melinda comes in and starts interacting warmly with Tony. Melinda easily talks about her past sexual relationship with Tony. Tony, embarrassed by Melinda's confession in front of her husband, changes the subject, suggesting they eat some of the snails. Vic objects, saying that eating snails without emptying their guts could cause poisoning. After dancing with Tony, Melinda takes him to her room. Vic, as usual, watches his wife and her lover suffering. The next day, Vic drives Tony, pretending it's because Melinda has work. He starts asking Tony about his past relationships with his wife and deliberately drives fast. He then stops near a cliff, and when Tony gets out of the car, Vic hits him on the head with a rock and throws him off the cliff. Vic goes to the body, throws it in the river, and takes Tony's wallet and documents. Vic returns home feeling satisfied and sees his wife playing with their daughter. He starts talking about Tony and says he likes him. Melinda tries to call her friend but can't get through. She becomes worried. Later, Melinda decides to go on a picnic with Trixie to the same cliff. Vic joins them. During their break, Vic confesses his love for Melinda. Melinda is shocked by his words. Vic gives his wife a book filled with photos of her that he secretly dug. Meanwhile, Trixie is playing by the water with the dog. Vic goes after her and finds a body in the water. It's Tony's. He didn't want his family to see it. On the way back, it's revealed that Melinda left her scarf behind, but Vic promises to return for it. Vic is reading a book on the couch. Melinda asks him to sleep in her room that night. They lie on the bed together, and it seems like their love has returned. Melinda caresses her husband's face and confesses how much she loves him. They spend a romantic night, closing the distance between them. The next morning, Melinda enters the snail reading area, sees Tony's documents and wallet, and realizes that Vic was the killer. She is upset. Vic heads to the picnic spot trying to hide the body. At the same time, Dan arrives and interrogates him. Vic says he was looking for his wife's scarf. When Dan goes in to check, he discovers the body and quickly runs away in panic, getting into his car. Vic, fearing his crime will be exposed, follows him on his bike. Meanwhile, Melinda is packing to leave with her daughter, but Trixie spots the suitcase and throws it in the pool. Trixie doesn't want them to leave Vic behind. Meanwhile, Dan, speeding, tries to warn his wife that Vic is the killer. Suddenly, he sees Vic in front of his car, quickly slams the brakes, swerves, and falls off the cliff, dying in a brutal crash. We see Melinda burning all of Tony's documents and wallet. She had decided to stay in the relationship,